Hey kids, comics! Silver-haired Bronze Age babe here, yakking about her comic book collection, and today I invite you to join me for a decommissioning ceremony. The issue we're going to talk about is this one, Lois Lane, number 106. This is probably the most talked about and infamous Lois Lane issues ever. It's called I Am Curious Black, and believe it or not, Lois Lane turns black for a day. This was part of DC Comics' efforts in the late 60s and early 70s to catch up to their crosstown rivals Marvel Comics in becoming socially relevant. As we've talked about before, the zeitgeist had really changed in the 60s, and the guys at DC were really struggling with how to reflect the societal changes going on. I bought this issue probably about 20 years ago, and not because I was collecting Lois Lane at the time, but because I was collecting Rose and Thorn. So when I got this originally, if I even read that story or if that even registered with me, I didn't. I can tell you right now it just didn't, because I was more interested in the Thorn, the secondary story. A character I'm going to talk about at some point too. But I saw a documentary on PBS that about comic books that talked about this. And then did some more research, and a lot of people have talked about this book. And so I was like, oh, wait a minute, I have that one. Isn't that great? So realizing that it was highly collectible, I got my little protective cozy and I put it up on my wall, again as a moniker, a way to tell my heirs that don't give this one away, because it'll probably be worth a couple bucks if you decide to sell it. The story is very problematic. Lois Lane has decided that in order to win a journalism prize, she's going to go get the real truth out of an area called Little Africa. And turns out that she's having trouble getting anyone in Little Africa to give her the time of day or to speak with her, honestly about what's going on. So she goes to Superman, who, interestingly enough, has a machine in the Fortress of Solitude that will transform her into an African-American woman for 24 hours. She then experiences life as a black woman, where she can't get a cab, where she's looked at very suspiciously on the bus, and so on and so forth. She meets a community activist who who had met Lois Lane before and just didn't buy what she was selling. The story goes on kind of convolutedly, but the community activist is injured in a gunfight. He needs blood, and Lois Lane is there at the hospital and donates the blood. But right after that, she turns back into the nice white lady that she is, and has to tell the community activist, oh, by the way, I'm actually white. He, of course, is shocked, but then he's happy. And they shake hands, and kumbaya, all is well. I think there are a lot of people who have written on the internet a lot more in more insightful ways than I am here. But when I read this now, I just think, oy vey, basically the black man learns the lesson here rather than the white woman. And that just is, given the tenor of the times today, it just seems so out of pace. And I'm decommissioning it because I'm keeping it in the collection. I'm glad I have it, but I'm not going to be putting it on my wall anymore. It at least for the time being. It's one of those things where it's like, I've read it several times. I've looked at that cover kind of enough for a while. And it will, if I can get the little sticky part off the tape here, there we go. It will be in this lovely protective bag, and it will go into I have a short box up in the attic that is kind of the key to me, good issues. Hey, don't sell these, you might get a few bucks. So I have it in the collection, I'll keep it in the collection. But it is being decommissioned for the time being, for my silver-haired comic book wall. I'm going to include a link in the description to a discussion about this book that I thought was very wise and very insightful. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.